Those two words have summoned travelers to ride America's passenger trains for over 175 years. All aboard was, and still is, the call to adventure. For generations, that call has stirred Americans to explore our vast country, coast to coast. It's a chance to view America at eye level, from our teeming urban centers to quiet country hamlets, from great mountains to picturesque coastlines, from the desert Southwest to the sunny regions of the South. There's a passenger train in the story of almost every American. Trains brought our forefathers to new lives, and they continue to take us on journeys of business, leisure, and love. Amtrak is writing a new chapter today. Whether it's the high-speed Acela Express, the corridor trains, or the long-distance trains, Amtrak is providing transportation alternatives for 21st century Americans. We are proud to be America's railroad. So come along for the historic journey. Amtrak, the first 40 years, 1971 to 2011. All aboard!
The day begins just after sunrise. Anticipation is in the air. Passengers hurry to pick up their tickets in front of Denver's Union Station. They stream up to Track 1, ready to board the 1950s-era Union Pacific passenger cars. Coaches, dome cars, even some luxury rail cars stand ready, gleaming from a recent scrubbing. The pre-departure attraction, however, is the Union Pacific's huge, powerful 1940 steam locomotive. Although this exciting morning scene occurred recently, the train itself has a long, rich history. Hi, I'm Jim Benneman. Let's travel back into the newspaper railroad past. Welcome to Rails to Rodeo, the Denver Post train.
Trains are what built this country in the past, and in my view, trains are what's going to carry us into the future.
I love trains. There's something about trains where, especially at night, when you go to bed, you hear the rumble of the tracks as the train's going forward. It's also the only way that you see part of America as it goes through part of the backcountry that you can't see by highway.
Yes, this is the first time I've been on a long train trip, and it's actually been quite a unique experience. A lot of fun. Never had an opportunity to take a train. Haven't thought about taking a train before.
You don't see the scenery through 30,000 feet of clouds. You see it on the surface riding a train in an upper level lounge car.
You'll see parts of America you'd never see if you were driving. When you're in urban areas, you'll see the backyards of America and little slices of people's lives as the train passes by.
Hello, my name is Dan Brucker, and I work for the Metro-North Railroad, and I'm here today to welcome you to Grand Central Terminal, the world's largest train terminal. We cover 49 acres in Midtown Manhattan. We have more trains and tracks and track platforms than any other terminal or station in the world. Every day, 750,000 people come through this terminal. And every day, 200,000 are people who are just visiting. I'd like you to be one of our visitors today and show you some of the great things about Grand Central and a great look at some of our history too.
New York City. Big, diverse, nerve center of the world of finance, mass media, the arts, and well, almost everything. This is not a place given to understatement, quite the opposite in fact. It's remarkable then that one of the city's most beloved buildings is exactly what it purports to be. It's a terminal, it's central, and it is most decidedly grand. It's beloved because it succeeds in every way, operationally, aesthetically, as part of our shared inheritance from those who came before us. Our lives are richer and we may be better people because they built this place. Gateway to a city, gateway to a continent, gateway to a century. This is Grand Central Terminal.
It was a grand idea to save Grand Central. We still mourn the loss of Penn Station. And in fact, what is happening there is as a result of the efforts of former Senator Pat Moynihan, now deceased, is that the same architect did a building right across the street, a full block, just as Penn Station was a full block, and they're going to move the railroad station to that building. It's the post office currently, and it will provide a building similar to what we had with Penn Station, not quite, but everybody is looking forward to it.
There was a time in American automotive history when automobiles could be considered works of art. In those times, every car had a distinctive appearance. Some consider the golden age of automotive design to have begun in the late 1920s and peaked in the 1930s. When the country was suffering through a depression in the 1930s, a few auto manufacturers continued to offer outstanding designs. Models that spoke of luxury, styling, and speed. These were the cars that movie stars drove, the car in which business leaders and heads of state were proud to be seen. Today, most of the names are just memories of the past. True, Cadillac and Lincoln still ply our highways, but one car like no other etched its name in automotive history. It survived for 59 years. Royalty, sheikhs, and maharajas were seen in them. Fortunate Americans were proud to say, "Ask the man who owns one." That car was Packard. Hello, I'm Edward Herman. Welcome to Packard, an American classic car.
We wanted it to be one of the greatest trains in the nation. I viewed the daylight to be sort of a signature for the Southern Pacific.
These scenes represent passenger trains that have traveled over the Southern Pacific's coastline route. They span the years between 1937 and 1971, when Amtrak took over the service. Hello, I'm Michael Gross. Welcome to the Daylight, the most beautiful train in the world. Few railroads match the scenery or equal the quality of service provided on the Daylight. It was truly a unique train with a glorious history. In an age of breathtaking fortunes, Pittsburgh had its Carnegie, New York had its Vanderbilts, and Kansas City had R.A. Long. He was as driven as any of them, but made few, if any, lasting enemies. He and his family left an enduring mark from London to the Pacific Northwest. Beloved in their times, they helped to shape our own. He was the son of a hard-scrabble anti-slavery farmer and a well-bred but penniless mother. In pre-Civil War Kentucky, his family was squarely outside the social and political mainstream. When Robert Alexander Long was born in Shelby County in 1850, there was little to suggest that he would found the largest lumber company on earth. Little except intelligence and determination.
The farm was hard work. I did not mind the work, but it did not seem to offer much of a chance for the future. I had no set vocation in view. I just wanted to get ahead. R.A. Long.
However much he wanted to escape, Long would remain a Kentuckian in spirit. His sense of stewardship for the land, his love of elegant horses, his abiding religious faith, even his concept of gracious living were recurring themes in business and leisure pursuits, both for Long and his family.
The Great Southwest was then opening something of its possibilities. We were hearing much about Kansas City, and I had an uncle there. Finally, I broke away, and in 1873, at the age of 22 years, I arrived in Kansas City with $700. Fortunately for me, my uncle ran the biggest bank in town.
It was the kind of rain any Midwesterner knows and fears. Torrents had fallen in the Kansas River Valley for most of May 1903. Some places got an average year's rainfall in just 10 days. When the water reached Kansas City and the confluence with the Missouri River, it had no place else to go. The deluge backed up, inundating the city's west bottoms, a basin surrounded by steep bluffs.
The 1903 flood was one of the most devastating in history, in part, of course, because the west bottoms housed not only Union Depot, but also the stockyards. And so literally thousands of animals drowned in the process, as well as water reaching the second floor of the Union Depot itself. Additionally, several thousand people lived in the West Bottoms at that time.
20,000 people were left homeless, a third of the West Bottoms population. 20 died. The city was without natural gas, electricity, and streetcars for days, and even the waterworks were shut down. The devastation was the worst in Kansas City history up to that point.
One night after that, I was up in my office upstairs and I was doing some work for our business, and somebody called me. I don't know who called me. I can't remember who called me, but they told me to look out the window. They said Thornby was, see, I'll start crying. They said the Thornby house was burning to the ground. And I looked out the window and I could see it from the window. The house was, they were up in flames, and I yelled to Dave, and we got in our car and we went down, and there were people standing around as close as we could get, and we watched it burn, and then we went home.
The last 175 years have been exciting. We've gone from that little 1830s Baltimore and Ohio locomotive to the streamlined trains of the 1930s, dome cars in the 50s, now new full-length dome cars, plus commuter trains, dinner trains, and Amtrak today. The American poet Edna St. Vincent Millay expressed our love of train travel with the words, "My heart is warm with the friends I make, and better friends I'll not be knowing. Yet there isn't a train I wouldn't take, no matter where it's going." I'm Tia Marlier. Thanks for coming along for the ride on America and the Passenger Train.